62, the modern rhythms and richly varied melodies of aerospace age America, brought to you by the Air Force Reserve. This is Stan Kenton. The sounds of 62 include the birth cries of more babies than the world has ever known, the honking of more automobile horns, the bleep of more satellites and the blare of more radios, and the pulsating beat of more and more Afro-Cuban rhythms as they penetrate the creative world of modern music. In our arrangement of Malagueña, the first section is completely scored, then the orchestra loosens up for solo improvisation. Discipline and individuality, the keystones of modern music and of the modern aerospace-oriented Air Force Reserve. The Reserve's requirement of discipline is obvious, but its need for individuality is just as great. Take, for instance, the Air Force Reserve's recovery program. Here, local units are put on their own. Their assignment? To service combat aircraft at civilian fields or isolated airstrips in time of attack. Individuality, the ability to improvise, and strong discipline are all needed. Much the same applies to air rescue missions. Reservists flew many of these last year in all kinds of weather and circumstances. In air rescue, strong discipline minimizes danger. But the unexpected is always happening, and individual initiative is highly important to success. In fact, every reserve operation calls for this combination, which is why the Air Force Reserve proudly proclaims as its slogan, "Ready now." In that spirit, some more variations on the Malagueña theme. Again, it's time to go. For the Air Force Reserve, this is Stan Kenton saying goodbye till next time for the whole crew on Sound 62.
Hey, how about it? Hey, gonna shout it, go with the National Guard. Each vet or recruit, there's a plan. In the Guard, you're on up to the minute man. Hey, ever ready there, ever steady, so go, go, go with the National Guard.
Won't you come home, Bill Bailey? Won't
Hey, Martin, that's my song.
I know, but once I've heard that song, I can't get it out of my head. You know, it is that kind of a song.
I got a cure for that, Martin.
Really, Billy?
Sure, you gotta sing something else loud and clear like a Susan March.
Yeah, but Billy,
Are you ready? Here we go, Stars and Stripes. 1, 2.
well, thanks, but really now, come on.
Da, 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 da.
Hold it, Billy. Hey, Billy, wait up.
Did you get the song out of your head yet?
Yeah, sure.
I told you it worked.
The only problem is, I didn't want to get it out of my head.
Oh, I am sorry, old man.
Well, I can fix that, Martin. A 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and... Oh, won't you come home, Bill Bailey? Won't you come home? She moans the whole day long. I'll do your cooking, honey. I'll pay your rent. I know I've done you wrong. Remember that rainy evening I drove you out with nothing but a fine-tooth comb.
With the music of Al Hirt and his trumpet, the Navy swings. This is George Fenneman for your United States Navy and Naval Reserve, presenting the world's outstanding exponents of jazz. From New Orleans to Chicago, from Dixieland to Progressive, from the pulsing heart to the tapping toe, it's the 2-beat and 4-beat of true American jazz. On deck are the great names of jazz: Bob Crosby, Andre Previn, George Shearing, Murray McEachran, Dick Stabile, Paul Horn, and featuring this week, the sensational trumpet of Al Hirt and his band. Al Hirt, now's our chance to have an honest heart-to-heart talk.
You talk about jazz and I'm all ears.
With your following, that makes several million hearts beating in jazz time. Al, would you care to define jazz for us?
Oh boy, I think it's impossible to define jazz. Maybe it can be explained by saying it's a combination of old European and African music. America put them together and out came jazz.
But how new is it? Seems to me I've known of jazz as long as I've been able to hear.
Well, it's a bit older than you, George. Actually, it had its beginnings about 300 years ago. Of course, it didn't sound like jazz as we know it now, and no one knew it was really jazz. But the evolution had begun, and around 1870, the new sound began to emerge.
Oh, where was this, Al?
Where else? New Orleans, man. And then they nursed it, rehearsed it, changed it, rearranged it.
Until today, we have that kind of sound that's made you famous. Al, how about a demonstration?
Well, here's an example of the blues and jazz. The Royal Garden Blues.
Al Hirt really swinging for the Navy. More from that trumpet in just a moment. Many college graduates turn to the Navy's Officer Candidate School as soon as they receive their diplomas. Now that they're eligible, they realize that OCS represents one of the most important steps they can take toward a career dedicated to serving our country. OCS is a 16-week course that makes the college graduate eligible to become a United States naval officer. Obviously, this is a position of utmost importance in the free world's strategy to remain free. With most young Americans aware of the honor that comes to those who pursue their patriotic duty, it's not surprising to learn that so many seek the proud position of officer in our mighty Navy. OCS can be your first step in a career that enables you to fulfill your duty to your country while serving in a role of great responsibility. Why not ask your Navy recruiter how you can become a part of our American heritage by serving as an officer in our Navy? OCS are the letters to remember. Al, getting back to our discourse on jazz, what about the blues? What do they mean by the term blues, anyway?
The blues, George. They are very sad songs sung with good humor.
And Royal Garden, can that be sad?
Well, the subject makes no difference. They can be sad about anything in music. Of course, sometimes the idea of the lyric is sad to begin with, like Bunny Berrigan's I Can't Get Started With You.
Oh, we'd love to take it, Al, and with you playing, we'll take it happily. Like that, Al.
That's a great tune. I love to play it.
You know, Al, we so often use the word jazz, but forget its real meaning.
Well, to me, the fundamental thing about jazz is that it's spontaneous and freely done, you know? The musicians play right to their audience, often as not improvising.
But haven't the rigid time demands of such media as radio and television eliminated a lot of improvisation?
No doubt. Improvising depends on the type of session. Without restrictions, we'd probably still be playing our opening number.
But even here in this, what would you say, discipline session, there is some improvisation, right?
Oh, yes, of course. We can hardly help it. It's too much a part of jazz. You get that compulsive toe-tapping beat going, and suddenly some new idea pops into your head, and that's just got to come out of your horn.
And then when you play Dee-Di-Do now, it won't be exactly the same as it was in rehearsal.
I don't know how. I hardly remember what it sounded like in rehearsal. But our great pianist Fred Crane is featured on this number.
Well, then, let's hear what it sounds like now.
especially if you wed two musical cultures and create something altogether new. When the Kenton Orchestra toured Mexico at the start of the 60s, we tried to get that south of the border feeling with modern Yankee overtones, as in Siesta. Sight is a ballad, and I thought you might like to hear the ballad that set the style for all the new dance arrangements in the Kenton Orchestra. I'm Glad There's You. Many sounds of 62 are new under the sun, and overt cyclotrons and satellites, missiles and space capsules. There are many old sounds left, of course, but even some of these are beginning to sound quite different. I'm sure you recognize the theme, but some of our variations on Rubens Blues may surprise you. Before we take off on those, I want to sound a couple of vocal variations on the theme of the Air Force Reserve. 7 units of the Air Force Reserve are now on full-time active duty because the United States must be ready to meet pressures anywhere in the world. This requires the strength of mobility. It means that men and materials must be able to move at a moment's notice. That's where the reserve comes in. The 7 units on call-up are Air Force Reserve Troop Carrier Wings and Squadrons. They maintain, fly, load, and unload one of the biggest long-distance haulers in the sky, the C-124 Globemaster. These aircraft are vital to our counterforce, and so are the skilled reservists who keep them flying. The men of those 7 units are sacrificing a great deal to help in our defense. They deserve our recognition and thanks. One installment of our musical thanks right now.